Alright, it's 7:30. This is KV4UP. That means it's time for the Tech Forum. If you haven't been here before, Tech Forum is this is a great time to share projects you've been working on. We usually have a topic, and I think we're going to start a little bit of a series with our topics for people who may not be hams or are aspiring to be, or whatever. You know, if you're interested, that's going to be what the topic is going to be for the next few weeks at least. Is just going over some information you might need to know if you want to get in the hobby a little bit. The Tech Forum is also a time to talk about upcoming events. Let us know what's going on in your neck of the woods, and if you have any projects going on that you have questions about or you want advice or whatever, a lot of good smart people on this forum that can help you out. We'll see how many people are here tonight. Of course, the game is going on right now. I've got the TV on mute, trying to watch the Panthers and see what they're going to do tonight. Doing pretty good so far, but hopefully we'll get a good discussion going. If you're not a ham, or if you're interested in upgrading your ticket, there's a VE session the second Saturday of every month at Hinshaw United Methodist Church. That's on Gate City Boulevard in Greensboro. That VE session, for that session, testing starts at 9 in the morning, and you need to make sure you bring 2 forms of identification. One of them needs to be a photo ID. And if you're upgrading, you need to make sure you bring a printout of your original license. You can go on the FCC ULS website and get that. And or if you have a paper copy, make sure you bring a photocopy of it. They don't have a copy machine there. David Macchiarolo, AJ4TF, is the lead VE for that session. And he's also the lead VE for the session in High Point, which I'll talk about in just a second. You can contact him for information or let him know that you'll be at either one of those VE sessions. His email address is aj4tf@arrl.net. The next one in Greensboro is going to be on Saturday, February the 13th. There's also a VE session at the High Point Red Cross building on Phillips Avenue in High Point on the last Saturday of every month. That one starts at 10 a.m. The next session down in High Point will be on January the 30th, which is this coming Saturday. So, you know, if you want to upgrade or want to take the tech exam, man, it's a perfect time to do it. If you got a week to study, you can contact David. His email address, just to reiterate, is aj4tf@arrl.net to let him know that you'll be there. The Greensboro session, they like to know if you're going to be there. Just shoot them an email. You can walk in if you need to. The High Point session, it's probably better to let him know that you'll be there, but I think they take walk-ins too. So, all right, a couple more announcements before we get on to the rest of the forum. Tomorrow night at Captain Bill's Seafood on Market Street in Greensboro is the Greensboro Amateur Radio Association general meeting. And just as a reminder, we were going to have Bob Heil as our guest via Skype, but because he is currently in Pasadena, California, receiving accolades and awards for his 50th anniversary of his sound company at the NAMM show, he's not going to be able to make it. But we'll have him on later in the year. I'm working with him now to try to find another month that he'll be able to join us. So, because of that, what we're going to have, Cameron Conover, AJ4TW, the president of the club, will be bringing a spectrum analyzer, and he's going to replicate an ARRL test to look at the outputs of HT radios. So that way you can see how clean your output signal is. If you have harmonics or spurious emissions or whatever you have going on, you'll be able to hook up your radio. They'll have some test radios to show, but it'll be on the projector, so you'll be able to see it clear. Bring your radio. It'll be fun to see exactly what your stuff is going on. Also, and by the way, about the GARA meeting, everyone is invited. If you're not a ham, come on over. If you're a new ham, come on over. It's a very friendly group, and there's no need to be afraid. Nobody has any expectations or anything like that. It's an excellent time just to get to know people. It starts at 7:15. If you want to eat before that, you can show up at 6 or 6:15 and grab a bite to eat and just get to know everyone. The meeting starts at 7:15, and the presentation usually starts around 7:30, a little bit after that. So be there. Don't let this opportunity pass up. This year's going to be a great year, and we're going to have some good presentations, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So be there. Also, at 9 o'clock, in a little while, about an hour and a half, we have the News and Information Net on this same repeater, featuring Amateur Radio Newsline, and Patrick, K2CPR, hosts that. So be here for that. That's going to be good, too.
Why, you?
All right, so let me tell you what the topic is tonight. This is going to be a little strange, and it might take me a couple of weeks to figure out exactly how this is going to work. Roy, N4BYU, I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, made the suggestion that we should use the forum as a time to talk about the information that is on the exams, or information that might be useful to people who want to get into the hobby, because there may be some of you who are listening who don't have a license and don't have the ability to transmit. I don't really want to go through the entire tech exam pool of 400 and some odd questions in there. So let me tell you what I was thinking we might do. I thought I heard somebody in there. I thought that was you. You kind of snuck in right at the tail end. Go ahead, Roy. What's going on?
Patrick has sent an email out that he will not be here tonight. He is in New York, and with him being in New York, I don't think he's going to do the 9 o'clock, and I'm mobile. So this would be a good time for some of these new guys that's always saying, "Oh, I'll do it." Not to mention Paul, and for BYU.
All right. Well, we'll see what we can get going. I think it might be hard if we want to run the Amateur Radio Newsline, if someone doesn't have a rig set up to do that with some sort of an input into it or whatever. It may be difficult. You know, I think last time I did it, I just set my microphone in front of the speaker. It didn't work out so well, but we might be able to do something. Who knows? If anybody is interested when we're going through the check-ins, just step up and let me know that you want to handle running the Newsline and the News Information Net tonight, so we can work something out. Thanks, Roy. KV4UP with the Tech Forum. So let me tell you how I think I kind of want to handle this. I've been giving it some thought, and I'm not sure this is exactly what I want to do. But rather than going through every question in the pool for the tech exam, the questions are divided up into groups, and I thought maybe what I would do is just read what the summary of each group is. So each week, maybe we'll do a group of questions. Not the questions specifically, although we can certainly talk about the specific questions if there are questions about them. But the topic will be what the topics of the group are. So, for example, this week, Group T1A is the top of the technician exam, and the topics in Group T1A, excuse me, are a few. Amateur radio services. For example, one of the questions is for whom the amateur radio service intended, the purpose of the amateur radio service, amateur satellite service, operator station license grant, where the FCC rules are in, specifically the question, the answer is part 97, of course, the basic and purpose of FCC rules, and the meaning of basic terms in FCC rules. And I kind of had the thought that maybe each person who checked in, I would ask a question and give you I don't want to put anybody on the spot there. It's one of those things where I think we probably know most of the answers, but some of these things we may not have thought of for a really long time, and I don't want anybody to feel put out by it. So, in any case, that's going to be the topic for tonight. And if you want me to ask you, just let me know when it gets to be your turn. Just say, hey, ask me one of the questions, and that can be your topic. Otherwise, if you want to talk about Part 97 rules, if you want to talk about amateur radio satellite service and the rules related to that, telemetry, telecommand, that kind of stuff, and then the basics and purpose of FCC rules, for example. What do the FCC rules mean when an amateur frequency band is said to be available on a secondary basis? That's one of the questions. If you want to talk about something like that, hey, just let me know. You don't even have to answer the question. If you want me to ask a question, let that be your topic. It's going to be a little challenging, but I think if we go through all of the questions in groups like this, we'll kind of make our way through it, and it'll be useful. Instead of, I don't want to just read. I think it'll be boring. Anyway, if you have another suggestion about how I should handle this, I am all ears. But this is where we are right now. So let me shut up. and let me get some check-ins in. So as we always do, we'll start out by taking mobile and low power station check-ins. Those are people in the car who might be short timers or low power. If you think you might have a hard time getting into the repeater tonight for some reason because you're on an HT, just this is going to be your time to check in. So to check in, call forum control. That's what you'll say on key to make sure you're not doubling. That means let off the transmit button and listen and make sure you're not running somebody else over. And then when you're sure, you can hit the transmit button again and then give your call sign and give me your name because I want to know what your name is in case I don't know your call sign. So let's start with check-ins by mobile or low power stations. Call forum control now.
Control. And for BYU, the name is Roy Pleasant Garden. And Scott, every time I hear you, you got good ideas, but it makes me think of something else. And for BYU.
Well, Roy, it sounds like maybe you're the only mobile station tonight. And whatever your other good ideas are, tell me. I'll put them on the list, or we can, I don't think this ship's too big to turn, so maybe we can head down that path if it's something that you want to do. So since you're the only mobile one, we'll go with you. What's going on?
I'm trying to figure out how to program a ICOM 7000. It says it sees the right COM port and everything else. I don't have the manual, so I hope I got it plugged in at the right place on the back of the radio. When you got about 5 holes, you don't know which one to go with. But I'm going to move it to the other one in just a second and see what happens there. No, like I say, you've got good topics, but when you come up with one, I think of something that could be used also. Not now, of course, but some of the stuff, as I said, by us going to Winston and Charlotte and everywhere else to get our tickets, there's a lot of little things that we learned back in the old days that now when I hear some of the new guys, the language is changing a whole lot. And I still say go to 5.2. Back in the old days, that was, 5.2 is simplex, 146.5.2. There ain't no other. And now I hear them explaining, that's simplex, and you need to go to here. But just some of the little things over the years that we learned because we were together. But when you say 5.2, there's only one 5.2, and we're talking on 1.5. You drop the 0. Anyway, just little odds and ends. N for BYU. Sounding good.
All right, thanks, Roy. So are you thinking that we should maybe make some sort of like a compendium or put some of these ideas together and make that the topic one night where we go through some of these things? Or how can we organize that so we could talk about it in a forum setting? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that, but yeah. I mean, like I said, they're not wrong. Don't get me wrong. They're not wrong. But, I can tell when somebody's new. And kind of like another fellow that I know. He walked in nothing, came out extra. He is extremely smart. Runs circles around probably every one of us. But he don't know nothing about ham radio. He does now because he's been a ham for a pretty good while. But like I say, it's just, and I'm not shooting him down. Don't get me wrong there. And like I say, it's just little things that it takes you years to learn now. But yeah, kind of write them down, I guess. I don't know. Like I say, I got all the ideas. You got to make them work. And for BYU. That's what I got you for, Scott.
This is KV4UP with the tech forum. Okay, Roy, I think I got it. I think I know what you're asking for, and you know, to some degree, I kind of think that really what you're asking for is to be able to share some of the wisdom that you've picked up over the years, and that's probably the right word. Just the wisdom and understanding and all of that kind of stuff that's outside of the realm of just what the questions ask in the question pools, and you know, standard operating practices and stuff like that. And yeah, you know, it might be a good topic one week to actually put some of those down in writing. I think that we get a lot of those when people answer some of the questions that are talk about the topics that we've had. Last week, how we got into ham radio, for example, I think there was a lot of interesting and neat wisdom in that. And but no, I think that would be good. It's definitely something to think about. So I appreciate the suggestion. All right, well, let's take in the rest of the check-in, see how many people we got who aren't just obsessed with this football game. The Panthers are doing quite well so far. We'll see if they can keep it up through the second half and finish this game out. So let's last week we went backwards. Let's go forwards this week. So we'll start at the beginning of the alphabet. If you want to check into the tech forum, in the suffix of your call sign, that's the first letter after the number in your call sign. Starts with alpha through golf. Call forum control to check in now.
Forum control. Whiskey 8, Charlie, Whiskey. WHCCW in southeast Guilford County.
All right, John. Well, it sounds to me like you're the lone soul in that group. We'll see if anybody else comes in a little bit later. But I thank you for being here. Sounds good. WACCW. Good to hear you tonight. All right, the second group is Hotel through Papa. If you want to join the tech forum tonight, and the suffix to your call sign starts with Hotel through Papa, call forum control now.
Hey, Scott. K4HC. Met control, checking in and out. Kilo 4, Quebec, Echo Lima, Jeff in McLeansville.
Forum control. Please check in Kilo Bravo 1 Papa, Tom in Oak Ridge.
Control.
Check in KD4ENZ, Ron in Walkertown. Echo November Victor.
KV4UP. This is W4JCK, Chris in Greensboro. Hey, Scott.
Wow, great. That was a great list. Good to hear you guys. Thanks, Chris, for being here. K4HC, Mr. National Parks on the Air, and official K5P Chaser. Good to hear you tonight. Thanks for joining us. And Jeff in McLeansville, thanks for joining us also. I got you on an in and out, KK4QEL. That's excellent. Thanks for listening in tonight. Got Tom up in Oak Ridge, KV1P. Thanks for being here also. Always good to hear you. Got Ron, KD4ENV from Walkertown. It's great to have you with us tonight. And Chris, it's a pleasure as always. W4JCK. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's see here. The last bit of the alphabet is Quebec to Zulu. So if the suffix to your call sign starts with Quebec to Zulu, you want to join in the tech forum tonight, call forum control now.
Forum control. Check in Alpha Juliet 4 Tango Foxtrot David, High Point.
All right, it's the AJ4 twins. Good to hear you guys. Both the High Point in the same neighborhood. You guys are sounding great. AJ4TF David, thanks for being here tonight. Great to hear you, as always. And AJ4TW Cameron, same there. Thanks for being here, and looking forward to your presentation tomorrow night. So let's take one more round of check-ins. Anybody, anywhere, Alpha to Zulu, if you want to check in the tech forum tonight, call forum control now.
Net control. Please check in Kilo 4, Alpha, X-ray. Jesse in Greensboro.
All right, good to hear you, Jesse. Thanks for joining us. And I know everybody's keeping an eye on the game, but I'm really glad you're all here. Thanks for being here tonight. So let's go back up to the top of the list. And in case you guys weren't here, the topic is going to be the first group of questions in the tech license pools. Not the questions themselves, although I can tell you one. If there's something you want to talk about, I can give you the question. But basically, the topics are amateur radio services, FCC, how we relate to the FCC, meanings of basic terms used in FCC rules, amateur satellite service, telecommand, that type of thing, telemetry, definition of a space station. So anything in that field, in that area that you want to talk about is open. So let's go back up to the top of the list. Talk to John, W8CCW. How you doing, John? What's going on with you tonight?
Oh, not much happening here other than watching the ice outside. I live down in the southeast corner, and very little, if any, effort has been made to remove anything from any of the roads. So it's still quite slippery here. So I understand. I've only made it as far as the garage. So I really don't know. The question that Roy raised about the getting the jargon in place for perhaps a glossary for the website or something like that is a good one, but I have long been a fan of going to common language when you have a reasonable communication path. I will point out that there was considerable effort put forth by the feds to get everybody on the same set of codes, and you guys who have participated in ARES are aware that what the situation is. We all took a course that said it's all going to go plain language, and it seemed to only intensify our local 911 folks' interest in some obscure terms. But it will always be a problem with us, and I think as long as you're having casual contacts like we do most of the time on 2 meters, repeaters in particular, I prefer the plain language with the jargon as backup. 10-4 W8CCW.
Well, that's an interesting concept, and I think you're probably right. The simpler the better. I think it's good if we're all kind of in the same dictionary. And that reminded me when you were talking about that on the website. Just in case, I don't know. I did it last week on Monday, so I wouldn't have had a chance to tell anybody. But if you go in the forum section of the website, I think it's under Rag 2, if I remember correctly. I had to go back and look. But I made a new topic under there that's related to what Roy was talking about in the history of amateur radio in Greensboro last week. I made a new topic, and what I thought would be fun is for the people who have been around a while, if you want to add some information in that topic, just to start compiling some of the history in the area, around amateur radio, would be a good place to do it. And maybe getting some of those terms and the thoughts kind of put together in one location there would be good too. Might be a good place to do that, like John mentioned. And you know, I think, John, this might just be me. It's not like I've been all over the country and listened to ham radio operators, but it seems like in different regions or in different areas there are sometimes different sets of vocabulary, different sets of language, different types of language people use on the air. So I think, you know, for HF and that kind of thing, I think it's probably pretty standard because everybody's in it all over the world. But seems to me like in different places and on repeaters, things might be a little regionalized. In any case, it's an interesting concept, and I appreciate the thoughts on that. But yeah, everybody go check out the website, look in the forum area under Rag 2, and put any thoughts you have down there. All right, let's move on to Chris, Mr. National Parks on the Air, K4AC. What's going on tonight, Chris? How you doing?
Well, I don't know about Mr. I've been trying to have a little bit of fun with it, and well, at the present time, I'm in second place in the state. Just trying to work them as I hear them and as I have the opportunity. There's been a lot of activations with National Parks on the Air during the week when I'm at work, and I think that it's giving a tendency for those that might be retired to have a greater chance of filling in some of the slots. Nonetheless, it's been a lot of fun. One of the things I've been doing as I work a park or a unit, I tend to go to their website and look it up, find out a little bit about it. Sometimes it's interesting and leads me down a rabbit hole. Other times it's kind of ho-hum. That, you know, it is what it is. I think that's one of the things they're trying to encourage with this. And for those that don't know, it is the 100th anniversary, the centennial of the National Park Service, and they're doing a National Parks on the Air event throughout the year where people are traveling to various national park units. There are over 400, and activating them. Confirmations require a confirmation on Logbook of the World, unlike the Centennial where it was sort of an honor system and just contacts you uploaded or counted. There has to be a match for it to count, and National Parks on National Parks on the Air. Let me reset. Onto the question at hand, the topic for tonight. Just a couple of thoughts. I don't have anything really specific, sort of a contrary or a corollary, perhaps, to John's comment. I think plain language, when appropriate, is absolutely the way to go. There is in any avocation a lexicon that tends to be used, and in ham radio sometimes it's misused. Nonetheless, it's in order to communicate with people, you need to understand at least some basics of that lexicon. So the more exposure you have to it, the more practice you have, the more familiar with it you will become. We all started off not knowing any of it, and over time, most of us have gained quite a bit of it. The tests, I think, are to a large extent the same way. The testing does not prove or make you a good operator. It shows a familiarity with the topic, shows a certain amount of study. I think that any of the tests, through the extra even, are something that somebody with some study, especially now that the questions are public knowledge, they did not used to be, but now that they are, everyone has an opportunity, I think, to pass the test. A lot of it just depends on the amount of time that you're willing to put into it. And it is only a starting point. The learning, the knowledge gaining starts after that. The object of the test is to pass the test. After that, you start learning. I think that's all I got. Back to you, Scott. KV4UP in a group, K4HC.
No problem. Thanks, Chris. That's great. Yeah, I agree with all of that. The tests, I think they're there to show some sort of proficiency, you know, and you have to have some sort of basis of knowledge, which is really what those are about. Just like any sort of certification, you know, it doesn't mean you really have an understanding of what's going on necessarily, but you have a basis of knowledge, a foundation on which you can build to improve your understanding later on. All right. Let's see here. Let's move on. So Jeff in McLeansville, thanks for being here. You were in and out. I got that. Let's go on to Tom, KB1P in Oak Ridge. How you doing tonight, Tom? What's going on?
This is KB1P, Tom in Oak Ridge. Doing well. Listening to you and watching the game at the same time. And I think that what you're doing is great. And one of the things that I had a hard time associating with was when I took my license and then getting my radio was, what is a CTCSS? And everybody kept saying PL. And I think it's good to mention that they're the same thing. Back to you, KB1P.
All right, Tom. Yeah, that's probably a really good example of what we're talking about here, and what Roy mentioned and what John mentioned. There are definitely some things that are just the way they've been said for a long time, and over time that's kind of become the standard, but it might not be in the FCC rules, and so I can see that, like Chris just mentioned, he just mentioned on the Hangout, CTCSS, that's a generic term. I had to tell you that it took me a while for some of these things, some of the acronyms specifically, PL, I had to look it up. Now, if you look it up, you find out it stands for private line, which is a Motorola term. But, getting to understand exactly what those things mean is definitely, private line, yeah, it can definitely take some time. Like, I remember when I was looking through some ads on, I can't remember if it was QRZ or swap.qth.com, one of those places, and somebody said that this particular thing was FB. And so I was like, what is FB? Maybe if you were in it a while, you might know that. Or OM, what does that stand for? Fine business. And OM is old man, but unless you've been in it a while, you might not know those things. It's kind of along the lines of what you're talking about. So I appreciate that. All right, let's go on to. We're just having a great time tonight. This is a lot of fun. All right, let's go on to Ron in Walker Town, KD4EMV. How you doing tonight, Ron? What's going on? Well, Ron might have been an in and out. Usually he's an in and out. He might not. He might be out. So that's all right. Let's just keep moving on out. And I think we have split mind tonight between the Panthers and the Tech Forum anyway. So that's okay. Let's go on to Chris, W4JCK. How you doing, Chris? Man, we're a little loose tonight, aren't we? What's going on with you? How are you doing?
KV4UP, W4JCK in the group. Things are pretty good. I'm starting to have less anxiety now as we go into Sunday night about the power going off as a result of all this weather. And because it seems like, I think everybody thinks that way, but it's like over here the power just goes off sometimes, and it's off for like 2 days at a time, even with a good rainstorm. So, it's not paranoid if it really happens. But anyway, I'm just, we get through tonight. Tomorrow it gets up in the 40s. Tomorrow night it doesn't go below freezing. So if for some reason the power goes off tomorrow, I'll probably be a lot less stressed than I have been the last 3 days. As to your topic there, I'll be honest with you. I don't know, if it wasn't an electronics theory question, something related to that, I don't think I could probably pass the current technician license for all the stuff that I've probably forgotten. or don't use. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, one of the things, I think this is part of maybe what Roy alludes to is, you know, we had various books and things like that. If you needed to know something, you didn't understand something, you didn't hop on the internet. You went and found the book or whatever, or notes you'd taken or other things like that. You looked it up, refreshed your memory, went on about whatever it was you were trying to do, whether it was a rule, a regulation, how to conduct business in the net, whatever the case may be. So you're welcome to ask me one of those questions. I'll give it a shot, but I still haven't memorized the new HF band plan. I used to know the old one by heart, every band, everything. You learn that, and you learn it really well when you under the old novice license. You know where your little 50 kc chunks were, and not to go outside of that. And ever since they changed the band plan and reconfigured things and stole 50 or 75 kcs from the advanced class up on 80 meters, which still ticks me off. I don't think I know really any one specific thing regarding maybe the rules or something, you know, other than the common obvious things or what have you. And I sort of got a little bit of what kind of Roy was alluding to when he was talking about the fellow that came in one day and came out an extra and all that sort of thing. Back in the good old days, you know, it took some really serious effort. I mean, you had to really want to be a ham to get a ham license for all the hoops you used to have to jump through. And old guys like me and Roy and Chris, he'll be an old guy here in another 10 years, so he'll probably want to reminisce too. And you know, there's just a lot of things that go on, and we don't say anything, but we go, you know, we give it that little, what the heck? One of the things that still trips me out in the QST is that they have a glossary in it to tell you what the terms mean. And I mean, I'm going, what is that? You know, any self-respecting ham would know what that was, and if he didn't know what it was, you know, he'd get his books out and look it up. Last few weeks, I picked up one of the ICOM 7100s while they were on sale. Been trying to get my head around the D-Star stuff. I'm not like, you know, super gung-ho on it, so I've been kind of lax at going about figuring stuff out. But I'm starting to get there, and yeah, the internet is a good resource. And rather than, you know, getting on the radio or going into a forum and asking a bunch of questions, you know, the approach is, you know, gather your information, sit down, study it, figure out what you do know and what you don't know, versus kind of the old thing where you pop in, ask somebody, get the direct answer, you get the instant gratification. And I think that's sort of maybe a little bit kind of what Roy's referring to. Here about a week ago, I picked up one of the little ID 880H dual band mobiles, and it comes with a little book from ICOM. And it has ham radio terms in it. And I look at it and I go, you know, what the heck is this? So I guess, you know, it's one of those things, if, you know, it's generational. It happens, you know, it's the same way our folks thought we were crazy and we were all going to turn out bad. We look around at the young people today and the ham license structure and we go, boy, there's not a real ham, you know, amongst them. So, you know, it's just one of those things, you know, you get old, you know, you get cranky, you know, and you go, boy, these kids today. So, anyway, enough of that. But other than that, I'm happy that it's going to start warming up. I'm glad the snow's over. No icing over here. No limbs fell. Things are great. I hope everybody else survived it without any bad power outages or any damage in and around their homes. So, anyway, if you want to ask a question, Scott, I'll give it a try. KV4UP, W4JCK.
All right, Chris, I'm going to do it. I'm going to find one here, and I'm going to ask you. Before I do that, though, let me just say that I think one of the beautiful things about amateur radio and this hobby is that because of some of the complexity of it, and because of some of the way there's so many things that you can get into, I think it really fosters a community. It's not the type of you probably could, but I don't think it's really the type of hobby where you can just learn the stuff, go sit in your shack, not talk to anybody else, and be very successful or happy with it. It just doesn't seem like it's made to be that kind of a hobby. You have to continually ask questions. That's what this forum is all about. We get together every Sunday night. We ask if you have a project you're working on, you want to know, you're trying to make a delta loop, and you're trying to figure out where to put the feed point, whatever. Could be anything. That's why we come on here and we ask those questions. Or in the week we have the forum on the website. A lot of us are on Google Hangouts, so we talk to each other all week long, and we share information. We learn from one another. The people who are a little bit older and have been in it a little bit longer can pass some information along to those of us who are young and stupid. And that's what makes it so fun, is just being on a constant quest to learn and understand and get to new places and to new understandings and new heights in what you're able to do. So I think that's what makes this just an excellent hobby to be in. All right, so here's your question. And let me say, I don't know how long it's been since I've said so, but this is KV4UP with the Tech Forum. So let's see here. I don't think there are about 10 or 15 in this group. And most of them, nice thing is in the tech exam, most of these are kind of, they're a little bit of, what's the word? They're common knowledge or common sense type questions. So let's see here. Hopefully this one isn't like way off in left field. What is the FCC Part 97 definition of a space station? And there are 4 answers, so let me give you the 4 answers. A is any multi-stage satellite. B is an Earth satellite that carries one or more amateur operators. I guess that means the people actually operating. C, an amateur station located less than 25 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Or D, an amateur station located more than 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface. So if you need me to repeat those, let me know. But those are the 4 answers. What do you think?
Oh, geez. A space question. I don't know. I'll just swag it and say E.
Wow, man. I didn't even know E was an answer. Let's see here. Should I give the answer? Is that how this is going to... Anybody, let's do this. If you want to try to answer that one, call KV4UP now, and I'll let you answer it.
Tango Foxtrot.
It's like the Gong Show. You just have to, it's like Family Feud. You have to buzz first. David, you're the first buzzer. What's the answer?
D.
Ding, ding, ding. You're right. D is the answer. So the answer, let me read the question again, just so everybody knows what the question is. The question is, where am I? Where's the FCC Part 97 definition of a space station? The answer is an amateur station located more than 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface. So, I don't think it has to carry amateur operators to be a space station. I don't think it's a multi-stage satellite. I don't even know what that is. I would think a multi-stage rocket. And if it's less than 25 kilometers above the Earth's surface, it doesn't seem like it really counts on being in outer space. So, there you go. Thanks, David. Excellent, excellent. And thanks, Chris. Also, I really appreciate all your comments. I appreciate you being here every time you are. It's really fun to have you here. And speaking of David, David is up next, AJ4TF. David, what's going on with you? How are you doing?
Hey, Scott. Everybody on the forum, AJ4TF. For once, I'm not mobile on Sunday night. Although I did venture out today. The main roads are fine. Side streets are not so good. I did finally get my driveway cleaned off, at least the steep part of it, so that's good. So XYL's happy she can get out tomorrow. Let's see. I haven't had a lot of time to do much radio stuff with work and this class that's going on. I'm taking the CW Academy class. Let's see, this coming week will be the 4th week. I guess I'm doing okay. Hadn't had a lot of time to practice, so but anyway, I can at least I know my own call sign finally. Even though we haven't got to J yet, I had to learn that one. The instructor's pretty good. That was W4GSO/R. The instructor's pretty good. He goes beyond the lessons that the CW Academy has, and he makes us do things like pick 3 things that you could find in a grocery store and send those. And each of the five students picks 3 different things, and we each in turn send them, and then we all have to copy the other ones. So this week I'm going to use potatoes, celery, and ice cream. Then something new he did last week, he said come up with a 4-word sentence. And my problem has been and I've talked to K4HC about this, so he's heard this before, I will miss a letter when copying and then get frustrated and then miss the next one and the next one and the next one, and pretty soon I've missed a whole word. So I've got to teach myself, if I missed a letter, to just keep going, and it'll probably fill in with context. So it's going to take practice, but I'm getting there. I'm getting a little better off and on. All right, back to forum control from. Never mind. AJ4TF.
David, that was fantastic. That made my night right there. I am very excited for you to be doing that, and I think that's just a great thing. And I don't know. It makes me happy. I wish I knew that, and I wish someday I will. I just need to slow down a little bit and take the time to study it. But that is very cool. It's very cool to hear how they're approaching that with the stuff in the grocery store and all that kind of thing. So that's very fun, and I appreciate you being here tonight and sharing that with us. I really like that. All right, on to David's neighbor down in High Point, AJ4TW, Cameron. How you doing tonight, Cameron? What's going on? Yeah, man, just a little bit of fuzz in the background, but you're coming through loud and strong.
So you won't be able to probably hear me on the recording, but that's all right. One.
What's he mean, time out the machine? N4BY.
I don't know, Roy. Why don't you show us? You can be an expert at that. Good to hear you guys. And Chris, I had one of the guys ask me on the Hangout if this is Chris 34JCK. If you're still out there and still listening, if you can maybe after the net is over, give us your email address so they have it for the D-Star info since you just registered on the website. I think that might be missing or something along those lines. So maybe in a little bit, just put it on your mind that Jesse and those guys are going to need your email address. All right. Thanks, Cameron. That's great, and I completely agree with you. You know, when you get your license and you feel like you don't know jack, and you feel like if you say something on a repeater, you're going to make a fool of yourself, and you feel like, boy, how am I even going to figure this out? I don't know. I got to think other people are like this, but it's like I put the radio in my truck. I was so excited about it. I got this radio, 2-meter only. You know, it's a Yaesu 2900, and I put it in my truck, and I got the antenna on there, and I'm listening, and I got everything configured right. You know, I'm hearing everybody, and I'm thinking, okay, let me go ahead and squeeze that push to talk button, put my call sign out there. But if I screw up, you get nervous. You're really nervous, but that's not, you know. Thankfully, everybody here is, at least everybody in this town is that I've run across has been very nice, and nobody gets upset or angry or nothing like that. So you just got to do it. Just got to push the button and talk. So yeah, I'm right there with you, Jesse or Cameron. I'm looking at Jesse's next on the list, and using plain language definitely helps with all that. You don't have to feel like you have to know all this lingo and all this stuff going on. So and Chris. W4JCK, the other Chris, K4AC wants your email address so that you can send him he can send you some information on how to understand and operate D-Star properly. I think that'll help you out. So there's that. All right, next on the list, last on the list until we get some more people is Jesse, K4AX. What's going on, Jesse? How you doing tonight?
Hello, Scott.
Jesse, I'm not sure where you're at, if you're at home, if you're on low power, what it is, but I am really sorry to say you didn't come through at all. I heard a whole bunch of static, and that was pretty much it. You want to give it another shot?
Okay, what about now? K4AX.
Oh, yeah, man, you're standing right next to me now. What was going on?
Yeah, that was a user error for sure. That was 100 milliwatts. And actually, I keyed up and asked you if I was getting in okay, because this is a kind of a bad spot in my place here. And I'm doing okay. Thank you for doing the net. Sounding great. Doing a great job. Enjoy listening to it. And we'll enjoy listening to the recording that Cameron will be putting up, I'm sure, later on YouTube. And it's been a good ham radio past couple of days, I guess, because I have not been working due to the weather, which has been great because it was like a unexpected 3-day break. So I got K5P and VP8 STI in the log on the CW. That's really the only thing I've been able to hear them on, and even that has been really iffy. So I was really pleased to get that knocked out and done. And I wanted K5P, especially on 80 meters. And John W4DX was up early this morning, or he's up early every morning, and he spotted them. And I was able to go in there and get them in there in the log. It was really cool to watch them come up in signal strength as the gray line came over and stuff. It was kind of neat, so that was cool. And also got one of those new dongles that Cameron's talking about, which is really cool. I can talk a little bit about that if you like, and playing with that a little bit, and just enjoying the snow, I guess. Back to you. Thanks a lot, Scott, K4AX.
This KV4EP with the tech forum. Yeah, tell us what that dongle is that you got, and say hello to your cat for us. He was, or she, I guess, making a little bit of a cameo appearance there. But tell us what what dongle you got?
This is K4X. Yeah, the cat thinks I'm talking to her, so she's trying to get in my lap, and I was pushing her away, and she didn't like that. It's RTL-SDR.org. .com. RTL-SDR.com is a website that gathers a lot of information for those, the RTL dongles and the Hack RF and AirSpy and a lot of the low-cost SDR receivers out there. They're kind of like they've got some great guides and articles on what you can do with them. Anyway, they've got their own little dongle that they're putting out, and it comes in a metal case. They've got it modified with a TXCO on board. It's got a bias T on board, so in other words, it'll throw I think 5 volts up the coax line to power up a preamp, like if you want to put a preamp up at your antenna, which is kind of neat. And it comes with a really nice magnetic mount type whip, telescopic whip type antenna. It's not something you'd want to put on your car or anything, but you can put it on any metal surface, and it's like 5 feet long, which is really neat. And they're I think like $25 shipped, so really nice. It's got an SMA connector on it as well, so it's just in many ways just a step above your typical RTL dongle. One thing you're talking as far as the tech forum and talking about getting your tech license, just a simple thing I've always done ever since I've had a smartphone is put a copy of the Part 97 regs on my phone. And it's just easy to pull up and reference it whenever you're having a discussion with somebody or whatever, and it just comes up and you need to look something up. It's kind of handy to have. I recommend anybody to do that if they care to do so. Back to you, Scott. Thanks, K4EX.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, I like that. That's good. And that kind of reminded me of something else. Of course, the topic tonight was the first section of the tech pool, and we all kind of. I didn't expect to talk about the questions. I hope nobody got me, misunderstood me with that. I think everything that we talked about definitely related to it, and that's what I was hoping for, honestly, because I don't want to go through all the questions and just talk about those. But talking about having the Part 97 regs and that kind of stuff, what you were mentioning, having those on your phone. Just understanding what those are is definitely what this first section is all about. Understanding what the FCC is and how they relate to amateur radio, where just that Part 97 exists, for example, what their definitions of interference are, that kind of stuff. So having that on your phone is definitely a good way to learn and understand all that stuff. And that's not to mention that if you're not a ham yet and you want to get your tech license, there are all sorts of apps for iPhone and Android out there where you can run through the questions and study and learn them and understand them. And a lot of them will show you the underlying concept, not just give you the answers, which I think in the long run that's what you're going to want, is just to have the answers. But to understand the concepts behind them is really what you want, so that you can recall the answer from the concept and not just memorize. So there are all sorts of apps for your phone for that too. So that it might be a way to go if you're looking to get into it. All right, well, Jesse, you were the last one on the list. Let's see if anybody else wants to join us. It's 8:30. We got a half hour till, well, I don't know. We may not have the other one tonight, but let's see if anybody else wants to join us anyway. Anybody, anywhere, if you wanted to check into the tech forum tonight, call forum control now at Alpha the Zulu. Anybody, come on in.
Recheck AJ4TF.
All right, David, you're up. How you doing? What's on your mind now?
A couple things I forgot to mention earlier. The first one is the special event station, November 4 Golf. We are getting that underway and organized. And for people who have not heard of that or haven't been around before, that's a special event station that we do in March. It corresponds with the weekend of the annual reenactment of the Battle of Guilford Courthouse up at the Guilford Courthouse National Military Park. And Chris reminded me that that this park is part of the National Parks on the Air. It's one of the official units of the National Park Service, so we'll be Mike Papa 04 when we do our special event station. That's the code of that particular park. So I expect we will have a lot of people trying to contact us during that time. So I'm not going to be at the meeting tomorrow because I got my class, but I've got a bunch of information that Cameron's going to pass out at the meeting and about that, and so that's one thing. And there was another thing too, and I forgot what it was. So back to form control, AJ4TF.
All right, David, that's great information. Thanks for mentioning that about M4G, and I appreciate it. That's always a lot of fun. That was the first special event station that I ever encountered when I got my license a couple years ago. It was N4G, and I didn't stay very long, but I got up to the park because I don't live that far away. We actually walked up there, and I got to see the setup and see what everybody was doing, and definitely got me interested in that. So I appreciate you organizing that like you do every year. It's very generous of your time and everything, and hope that the class continues to go well for you, and we'll talk to you later on. So thanks for all that information. That's great. All right, well, if nobody else has anything else to add, then I'm going to close it down so everybody can go watch the second half of the football game. We'll see if we have the news and information that if anybody has the ability to at least put amateur radio newsline on the air, that might be good. We'll see what happens with that come 9 o'clock. If it's not there, I guess it's not going to be that big of a deal because everybody's watching the game anyway. So, that being said, I hope everybody has a great week. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's been an excellent discussion, and I'll try to be a little bit more concise with the topic next week. We'll see what happens, but I don't mind anyway because I think it was all excellent information that needed to be shared. So, thanks for being here, 73. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you again, same time, same place on this repeater next week. So for now, this is KV4UP closing the Tech Forum. Have a great week, 73.
W4JCK, K4HC.
Yes, sir.
Chris, how you been, man?
Oh, well, just getting older. Trying to get by. How about you?